Having kids is a funny thing. When they're these newly born, harmless little humans with weird faces, you have this fantasized idea, this fantasized idea of what it's going to be like. You have this clear picture in your mind of what they're going to grow up to be, but if you've got kids, you know that. A third incident happened last month. That's third time this year. That's when we knew it was getting serious. There's a new lad, Davy, who drew the short straw this time. I dealt with the last one, and Carlos is allergic, so he says. When Davy lifted the lid, he went white as a sheet, bless him, scarred for life. I'll spare you the details, but basically it was brutal, violent but not messy. And I don't mean to be funny, but the lad that did it put the poor thing in the recycling bin, And I've said from the start, if you're going to do this kind of thing, bring the general waste. I said lad before there, didn't I? That was just an assumption. There's a killer on the loose. Conspiracy theories flying up and down Chilly Road. You can feel the fear in the area. Keep your outdoor cats indoors. Davy read the name on the collar. Hamlet. Strange name, what a pet. Carlos rang the police, and I talked to a woman in a dressing gown who'd watched the whole thing through a window, one of them neighbourhood watch types. Rang the council and keeping an eye on that bin. We knew there was something up with it. Saw some lads down the back lane, whole gang of them messing around. Little buggers. They only done this. Egged our windows a couple of nights back. Nah. Surely this wasn't just some radgies beating up an animal and putting it in the bin. And I mean, obviously it wasn't a hit and run roadkill kind of situation, because now there's been 3 of them, and I'm starting to see a pattern, I mean, it's not fully formed, but most of it is there, always killing in the same way, always putting them in the blue bins, It's as if every element has been planned. Carlos has got me into serial killers recently. I've watched a load of documentaries. First sign of being a serial killer, they say, killing defenceless animals. Testing the waters of playing God. That's really why people are worried. They're worried for themselves, not for their pets. Carlos has got a couple of theories. He says that in the past there have been these famous serial killer couples that have worked together, or maybe it's just some grumpy old man who's got something against cats, or his Sam says it's probably that funny looking street warden, but if it does turn out to be any of them, he says that would actually be quite interesting, because realistically it's going to be one of your recluse gamer types, one of those lads who'll always look ill, do you know what I mean, with dead lanky with weird hair. Oh, that's going to be a cat killer, Craig, It's always the quiet ones. That made me worry, because Kyle's a bit like that, a bit weird. Not in a bad way, but in his way. Keeps himself to himself in his room for hours on end, playing on his Xbox. Do you know what I mean? Wouldn't be say about to a goose, that kid. I mean, even when he sees me, his own dad, didn't see anything. He thought, his hair covering his face. You can see his eyes, but I'm doing it now. Being daft, getting hyped up by the whole who-done-it of it all. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Our Kyle's not capable of something like that. Do you know what I mean? He's barely any trouble. He never misses a day at school. Do you know what I mean? He never fights with his sister Tilly. No, he's a good lad. I'm not going to lie to you. When I thought about having a son, I did imagine a mini version of myself running around, like a little best pal. But Kyle's fine. He's a good lad. He's absolutely fine. And just because somebody's shy, doesn't mean they're capable of, And look, the kind of person that does this, they've always had a messed up childhood. And me and Julie, I think we've done a good job. No. Shouldn't even be thinking that kind of thing. It's exactly what that freak wants, isn't it? You know what I mean? Everybody getting frightened and paranoid. But he's getting a right kick out of the stir he's causing around here. No, nothing ever happens in Heaton. Normally, most exciting thing to happen in my line of work is somebody sets a bin on fire. Now we don't know what we're going to find when we lift up the lid. I often wondered if the location was relevant. Was this about the owner of the cat, or was it about the owner of the bin? Or maybe he just had something against bin men, or maybe the bins were just selected at random after he did it because he wanted to be clean, like throwing away a broken toy, I don't know which of those reasons is worst, but yeah, look, I see all of this, but killers are weird, aren't they? You know what I mean? Maybe there's no reason to it. Maybe he just fancied it in the moment. I keep saying he, but... First one to get it was Strudel. He belonged to Moorthy, lives at number 7 on our road. He was found in Whitfield, which is a fair way from here. And even though his name was on the collar, Moorthy was in denial that he was dead. I mean, she still is. Every so often I see a new missing poster that she's put up. Kyle used to look in on Strudel when Moorthy was away on one of our trips to Holy Island and feed him and that, you know. Nah, he's a good lad. He really is a good lad. But I see that. Got a phone call from school saying that he had been excluded for bringing in a penknife. God knows where he got that from. I mean, what was he thinking? But the thing that bothered me the most was how little the teachers seemed to care. Do you know what I mean? Oh, Mr. Harrow-Smith, it's a weapon, therefore against school policy, so he has to be excluded. But Kyle's never been a cause for concern before, and I don't think him bringing in a Swiss Army knife is cause for concern either. You know? Apparently loads of lads do it to show off. It's nothing serious, nothing to worry about. But I was worried. It's a weapon in school, you know, on paper. That looks bad. I was a little bit nervous, you know. The second one, Sir Pouncelor, ridiculous name. The owners were devastated, apparently. I mean, who wouldn't be? Was found in the back lane near the newsagents. No relation to the first location, but killed in the same way again. You know, put in the blue bin. It wasn't until a couple of weeks later when we found the third one that I started to piece things together, you know. And I stopped to have these bad thoughts. Thoughts that I wasn't proud of, you know. You know when I said that Kyle never leaves the house? Well, that's not true. I mean, obviously he goes to school, but he's got a paper round. He's employed by that very newsagents, and I know I shouldn't be thinking this, but I just realised the other day that he leaves the house quite early in order to get it done before school. Sometimes it's still dark. Oh, it would be perfect, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? I'm at work, his mother's in the house looking after Tilly. You know, if anybody's to ask any questions, he's got the perfect alibi, hasn't he? You know, cycling around delivering papers, finding stray cats, you know. That's if he had anything to do with it, but you know, obviously. But what about Strudel? You know, he was the one that looked after him. Why does this feel that it's not like a coincidence, you know? Why does my son have a penknife? So that's Strudel. It's a Pouncelor, Hamlet, that's 3 of them now. Tried to bring up the subject with Julie, but she wasn't interested. She doesn't like talking about that kind of thing in the house with Tilly around. It's disgusting, Craig. It's the 3rd one in under 6 months. All these people having to be told that their pets have been killed. What kind of sick and twisted person would do that? I realised when she said that, you know, I couldn't tell her about my bad thoughts, you know. I couldn't be the one to tell her about Kyle. But I couldn't just go on knowing what I knew, you know. One day I found myself in town, outside of the police station. I didn't even realise I was doing it. My feet just found us there, but, you know, they were stuck. I couldn't go in, and I knew why. Because they would start asking questions, and I would have to tell them he's my son, you know. And how's that going to look? But I had to tell someone. So I rang and withheld me caller ID, and they put us through to this woman. Oh, how can I help you? She said, I know who's doing it. What? I know who's killing them. And then I hung up and I just ran and to nowhere. I threw up at one point. You know, I couldn't sleep that night. Just lay there. listening to Kyle in his room on his Xbox till 3 o'clock in the morning. Die, die, die. Another day, another shift. Another body's found. And the lads are starting to get concerned because this time I cried. Because I've worked it all out. Each body is getting closer and closer to our street. Getting closer to our house, and I hate to think what's going to happen when he eventually gets to us, you know? This is starting to feel like it was never a spur of the moment thing. It was never curiosity turned bad. These were never randomly selected blue bins. This was all planned. Davy lifted the lid on the bin and read the name on the collar. It was Tilly. He was taunting us. This was a threat. You would find it, the little shit. It wasn't long after that Carlos said I had to take some time off work. Oh, you're acting a bit odd. Can't have you running up and down the back lanes looking in the blue bins like a fox looking for food every shift. Looking like a madman. You're making the lads feel uncomfortable. Oh, you're not yourself. No, maybe I'm not myself because I can't sleep every night knowing there's a killer under my roof. It's a Sunday. I'm sat in the kitchen, his mother's at the shops. He's playing his stupid games, and I'm drinking my coffee. And I can see my hands shaking. How can he just sit there like nothing's happened when he knows I've found it? I'm looking at him, and I'm scared. I'm scared of my own son. I know what you're doing. I know what you've done. Just stop it. Still, he doesn't even flinch. He just looks up at us, pretending to be all confused with his hair, with his face like it always is. That face, man. I hate it. Who do you think he is? Walking around this house like he owns the place, like he owns these bloody streets, like he's so bloody clever. You know, the truth is, I might never know what he's thinking. But I know what he's been up to. What if one day he gets bored? What if killing cats isn't enough? What if one day I'm out on shift and we open up a lid and find out what Tilly? You know, what kind of man can't protect his own family? I said, stop it! And I've got him pinned up against the wall, and I've got my hands around his neck in the same way that I imagine he's been killing those cats. Or maybe he's been torturing them the first, like the little psychopath that he is. And I look at him, and I swear, as I'm holding him there, that I can see a smile on his face. What happened to that harmless little human being with a weird face that I held as a baby? What have I done to deserve this? Why have I got such a freak for a son? And then lock eyes with his sister, Tilly. And she's screaming. She's screaming. Let him go, Dad. You're going to kill him. Let him go. So I do. I let him go, and he drops to the floor. And he's coughing until he's still screaming, and my hands shaking, and there's blood. I look at the smashed frame on the wall where I was holding him, and I see myself in the glass. And what am I? What was I playing at? A couple of minutes later, his mother comes in till he's still crying, and Kyle's lying on the floor in the corner with his face covered up. What have you done, Craig? What have you done? She took him away yesterday. Last 24 hours have been a blur. I don't know what happens now. I saw a cat out of the window this morning and I wanted to ring it. None of it feels real, you know? And I'm still angry. I'm angry at myself. I'm angry at cats. I'm angry because nobody believes us. Because it's him. I know it's him. I know it's him.